there, everybody, the internet, and welcome back to the Midnight Podcast. I'm your host, the man behind the camera, and I'm here again with Valk. Say hi.
Howdy.
So, we're in Minecraft, so if you hear some clicking and clacking, I'm sorry, that's my keyboard and mouse. They're mechanical. And I had a whole bunch of story ideas. I mentioned in the FTL video, our little rant video,
whatever that was.
Which happened about 5 minutes ago for us, that I have a whole bunch of sticky notes on my phone that are just story ideas and story instances that I came up with either in fever dreams, or otherwise. And I was thinking I could read through, as you do, I could read through some of these and start like discussing some of the ideas and like where we could go with these, because I enjoy writing. I love writing, and I love creating worlds with like silly things. And my main genre, I would say, is probably action. Like, because that's just the easiest. Like fantasy action, that's some of the easiest stuff to write. So,
absolutely. I'm
thinking going with that for a lot of these stories.
Starting place. I really don't have my brightness up high. What? Hey, stop hitting me.
Yeah. So, the first item that I have on the list under story ideas, this isn't specific story instances, that's a different sticky note. This is, the first one is a guy with every superpower, but they start counteracting each other. This is an idea that I've had for a while, which was kind of like a comedy type of thing.
I feel like that would also make for an amazing D&D character.
Yeah.
They have every ability of every class, but they start contradicting each other.
No, you know what it is it's basically the Wubbajack, but in human form. You know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
The Wubbajack is like this magical staff that has every spell in it. It is every single spell in the magical books and whatever have you, but you never know which ones it's gonna cast. So it's just like you're hoping and praying that it's the one that you want. Oh yeah, by the way, we're playing on our friend server. It's a realm.
Friend's realm.
Yeah. But in this case, it's like a superhero who drops down. It's like someone's like, "Save me, I need help!" And like the superhero drops in from the sky, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll stop them." And he's like, fires a firebolt at the bad guy. But he doesn't just fire a firebolt, he also spawns a volcano and like a fiery shield, and meteors start raining from the sky, and whales are sprouting from the ground, and it's just chaos.
It's just pure chaos.
It's like
I love that idea.
Every time he tries to do something good, it's just like, it's even worse.
There's another zombie, and I can't see a damn thing.
It's just this horrid, like, he tries and be a good superhero, but it never turns out well, and it's just...
I'm gonna... Have me up my brightness so I can actually see. There we go. See things.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea for me. Do I have my brightness
especially
on
for recording, because you want your audience to see.
Can you guys see? Yeah, I should be able to. The next one, entirely different note. This is an apocalyptic one. This is everyone but a few people on Earth turn into shadow/void creatures. And I got this one while I was walking to the bus stop, like freshman year, and I imagined like me and like two other people were like turned into these like indescribable creatures. Like they have no figure, but you know they're humanoid. They're just like a shadow. Or that thing in the corner of your room at night, you know? That's just sitting there
the one that
watching
stares at you while you sleep?
Yeah. And it's something along those lines, but like, I'm sort of pulling from this one anime that I watched, and I really enjoy it. It's called School Live. And in it, the zombies are kind of sentient. Like, they still have
an axe. He has the timber plug in.
Bet. They have like some idea of routine, so like if it starts raining, the zombies will, search for shelter. During the weekdays they'll kind of shamble their way around town to generally where they would work or go to school, but they're still, zombies. And I think it was something like that where it's like I go to the bus stop and there's just zombies everywhere. Yeah. So that one was kind of like a fun idea that sparked.
That's a very interesting idea.
I think Volt's just playing.
Oh, that's a creeper. Oh, good. Mom breathe.
Ah, bet. That's so annoying.
Volt actually cares about us for once. It's amazing.
Yeah, that one was interesting. I have a lot of zombie ideas.
Yeah. That's another random topic that I've noticed, because I've heard a lot of people who will say they have like zombie nightmares, but for me, a zombie dream is never a nightmare. Ever. It's always me being a badass in the apocalypse. Which is funny, because I really wouldn't be. But
yeah.
like, that's what my brain imagines.
It's like I become the hero of my own story. I'm just collecting wood right now. Should we look for a house?
Yeah, we're just strip mining an entire mountainside of trees.
Yeah, but like the thing that always happens for me in my dreams is that it's like I'm the hero, but I'm never good. Like I'll go to punch someone, and it will just be like punching a pillow at like 1 mile an hour. And it's like I'm going full force at this guy, and he's just kind of like, "Are you gonna touch me or like?" And it's always so.
That's supposed to hurt.
Yeah, it's like I always wake up so infuriated. I'm like, oh, freaking! If I was hitting someone that hard, I should be like breaking their cheekbone. And but no, it's just like. Okay, this one was another weird one. So back when I was president of Anime Club, I had a lot of weird Weeaboo ideas because that's just what you do. And this one I think I imagined as like a visual novel or like I don't know, like a romance story. Don't even at me. But it's a guy made of leaves, can morph at will, and is able to see what is happening wherever one of his leaves is. So like this type of leaf, like the tree leaf. Yeah. Kind of like, what is it? In like Fantastic Four, you got the Flame, right? Where he's made out of fire. This guy is just like an amalgamation of leaves, but it's a humanoid amalgamation.
That's interesting.
If you've ever seen the Chronicles of Narnia, there's this one character that shows up, and I think, what is it? It's the second one, so after The Lion, Lich, and the Wardrobe. There's a character...
I thought The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe... No, wait, that was the first one.
No, the first movie. I'm not talking books, I'm talking movies. But
I'm not talking books either.
Okay, because there's this nymph, creature of water and nature, whatever have you, that was made out of, like, sakura petals or something like that, like pink petals, and they just were, like, this humanoid shape made out of leaves. And I thought that would be kind of cool to have, like, a guy made out of leaves. I don't know where the story would go, if it would be a romance or an action or, like, something like that. Or some.
Yeah, that's kind of just one of those sandbox ideas.
Yeah, like you could just go with it. It's one of the. It's like a writing prompt,
Yeah.
But that was one of the ones that I came up with. The next one was from a dream, and this one, like, I don't think I'll ever write it because it's basically copywriting everything ever. But it's superhero / bounty hunters. Specific persons as follows. Basically, Tracer, a guy who can target a person, not like Overwatch Tracer, but basically a guy who can target a person and track their body's movements from anywhere. He can also move fast, but is tired out easy while using powers, so he's kind of like limited. He's like a recon Overwatch type of thing.
That sounds like an Ubisoft kind of balance right there.
Yeah. And then there's also the Reaper, but he can only see heat and is very nearsighted, so like a Snake Reaper. I feel like I'm entirely ripping off the game Overwatch, but I meant for these guys to be different.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. That one was
possibly.
Just like,
I don't know.
I just had a dream where those were characters, and I was like, I gotta write this down.
Yeah. You need to remember this. Immediately forgets. That's how my brain works. 'Cause I've had some weird dreams myself, so.
Because they're going to see two trees.
Yeah, I mean, look at this mountain. Look what we've done to it. There's nothing left.
Deforestation is a real issue. Only you can prevent drunk driving. Dude, look at all the flowers. At least we're not letting nature flourish.
I'm not that one psychotic little girl from The Walking Dead, alright? I will not flowers.
Yeah.
Anyone who's seen the show understands.
Hey, I haven't.
That's
'cause
a
I'm a
horrible joke. So,
all the
'cause
better.
it- yeah,
Hey,
because
there's
it
like this.
literally
Oh, wow.
involves a small child.
There's a whole bunch of caves all over the place. Should we choose one of those for a house or like?
There's a cave on the side of this mountain. I think on the other side. Actually, where the heck? No, it's on this side. It's towards the front here. There's a
Okay.
little cave that we can expand.
Bet. I love making cave houses in this game. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
You can really do
Ever
a lot.
since that one I did on the first version of this realm, I was like, oh,
Oh,
man,
dude, we could do
this
so
sucks.
much with this. We can like turn this into a giant like open face like
We
castle
could have
type
this
of
as
thing.
no, not even that. We can have this as a balcony and have very little external appearance, but just
Ooh, yeah.
have it be all about the interior.
A grandiose dwarven internal. I'd love that.
Yes. All right.
Um,
I'm gonna just
okay.
get to work, starting to clear space out.
Yep.
In a way that looks natural.
So I'm gonna just slap that there. So my next story idea is kind of like a dramatic one, a sad one, if you will, and it is. I even titled it, which most stories I don't give a title until I start writing them, but I even titled this one, and it is called "One Dog Year Left." And it goes, or 1 dog year remaining, and it's a guy who is diagnosed with a severe illness and only has 3 to 4 months left to live. What will he do with his family and friends as his life comes to a close? I feel like that's going to be like one of the real somber ones. I don't know why I made this with a pickaxe. But like I feel like that one would be a test of writing skill. Because writing is a lot about evoking emotion within people and trying to like get them to like sympathize with the characters. Oh hey look, a further of a cave. Yeah, well, not really. So like that one would be really interesting to write. It would be challenging to write, but it would be really interesting to write.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I feel like that one would be a good one if like I ever became a good writer.
Yeah, I'm gonna collect this pocket of granite.
Alright.
Probably use this for some decoration.
Man, if we're doing dwarven stuff, all the better. I feel like we should make a staircase up here as well. Oh god.
Oh, absolutely. We're gonna try to make this look natural. So
I excel
half
at
slabs
making things
everywhere.
natural.
I want to try making some more of those like stalactites and stalagmites I was last time.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah, we used to, or we were on another world, same server, another world.
Yeah.
And we were both.
This world has been reset a couple of times.
Yeah.
So.
So at 2 resets ago, he was building an in-cave house. Yeah, a cave home. He had built
in a very thin mountain because it was
Yeah.
an amplified world. I think this one is too, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It is. You had stalactites, and I was refurbishing a sunken ship. And then the last reset, I found like this chunk out of a mountain that looked real nice. So we turned that into our home. Well, we tried to, but the server got reset before we could.
Yeah. So.
I need
to go mining for some coal.
Yeah.
But first, I should make some chests to store all
I'm gonna real quick make some charcoal to get torches up in here.
Just get some immediate torches. I
Well,
mean, obviously, we're gonna switch to lanterns eventually. We don't have them right now.
Speaking of lanterns, my next story idea actually involves lanterns.
Oh, I think I remember this one.
This one I've actually written the first chapter for, and I'm real proud about it. And I have this is the only one that I've actually taken a notebook and I've written down story ideas, and I plan to go places with this. And it is.
I think I remember which one you're about to talk about.
It's a lantern that slowly cracks as an adventurer adventures. The adventurer is warned that when the lantern breaks, they will be engulfed in the flame of the candle within. When the lantern does break and the fire surrounds the adventurer, something good happens. Or, alternatively, the adventurer wants to die, but is cursed to only die when the lamp shatters. He has to die from affection. And this one was like...
Because I think I remember the way you described it is the lantern will take damage whenever he does an act of good.
Yes, so... how I've written the first chapter out, and I have a whole bunch of characters and character lists and etc. etc. And I have the whole story planned out vaguely. I just need to write the details in. And I have the first chapter written. And how it works is there's a lantern giver that shows up to random people and gives them this lantern that only the person can see. Only the recipient of the lantern can see, and other lantern holders.
Yeah.
And whenever they do a good action, the lantern cracks ever so slightly. And I came up with a whole bunch of different lantern types. Like, there isn't just like the railroad lantern or the classical Chinese lantern. You know, they have floating lanterns and a whole bunch of different stuff from different cultures, which allows me to tap into folklore of different cultures, which is always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I get to mess around with some of the stuff there, and it's just, I plan on going massive places with this one. And I also have ideas for not only good characters, but bad characters, and one insane, cracked out, doped up, druggy of a scientist who's just like a conspiracy theorist through and through, and just like, dude, have you heard about these lanterns? Like, oh. And like, he's one of my favorite characters that I've come up with.
Oh, yeah.
And then, okay, this next one, I don't understand why I wrote this down. I think this was a like 2 a.m. thought process, but literally all it says is the diction of the internet. That's it.
Yeah, that's a mood right there.
I think it has something to do with meme culture and weird language like that. And some weird something or other regarding all that, but I honestly can't remember why the hell I wrote that down.
Why did I craft another axe?
Ugh. Also, that lantern idea was actually inspired by an animation I saw that was similar in idea. It was a person carrying a lantern, and like over time it would take dings and dents and glass was crack, and at the end of the animation you see the lantern break and go out, and then like the person who was carrying it was gone without a trace. So it was like, ooh. Yeah. And that just kind of festered in my mind and sat and grew, and just, it was great.
Okay, there's a... I had to deal with a creeper. That's great.
I'm sorry, I'm looking through some of these. This next one I know as a fact was inspired by Destiny, the game. It's a kid who sees colors through speed. He/she likes the color of bullets the most. There's a...
Oh yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah, that one...
That one...
These are all weird ideas. But that one was, in Destiny, there's a species called the Exo. And they're basically robots. And there's a lore entry, and I think it was a gun or something, that was something along the lines of, I once met an Exo who could taste speeds. He said Mach 12 was his favorite speed. Something along that line. And I was like, ooh, what if I were to put that into real life? Or a fictional version of real life. Hey, I found a ravine, I think. No, it's just a cavern.
Okay, there's a lot of mobs in this cave, and I don't have a weapon and or food, so...
Same. Sorry, I just read ahead to the next story idea.
Oh, absolutely.
This one is... Oh. This one makes me laugh. It's such a simple concept and would probably just be like a one-off story, but it's a janitor who starts the apocalypse. He asks, do I look smart enough to have done all this? And a scientist responds, no, but you certainly look dumb enough. That just made me laugh.
That's gotta just be a one-off joke.
Yeah, that's a one-off.
Yeah, that is. It's a beautiful one-off,
yeah.
But a one-off nonetheless.
I think that was just one of those, like, I had a dialogue playing in my head, and that was like one of the quips that showed up in it, and it just made me laugh so hard that I had to write it down, and then I gave like a little context to it.
See, I've never written any of this stuff down, because I've had moments in the past where I've thought of like, this would make a cool story, and then I'll forget about it a little bit later because I don't write it down.
Yeah.
I need to start writing them down.
Honestly, yeah, if anyone's listening to this and has come up with a story idea like that, seriously, write it down, because you're not going to get any better at writing or story writing or any writing in general, if you don't practice. And when you come up with these crazy, cracked out ideas in your head, what better time than to turn it into a story? It's something that you giggled at, like you're sitting in the car and you just see like a road sign with a bunch of vines on it, and you're like, ah, yes. Corporal Jeffrey once saw a sign covered in vines, and like you just have this whole narrative sprout in your head.
Because all of our brains are weird. They all do weird things. So sometimes it's okay to embrace.
Yeah, and like, I'm not at all a good writer, but coming up with these ideas and like scribbling them down, even if I don't write the story, it stimulates my imagination, which is, that's creativity. That's your brain working. Your brain is a muscle. The more you work it, the better it gets.
Sound like a teacher.
It's true, though. If you don't use it, you lose it. That's
true. That's the worst part.
Yeah. Ooh, this next one was kind of like a suspense horror story. Not really horror, but it's what I wrote down is archaeologists find a whole town of people who are perfectly frozen in stone. It scares them. Kind of like I think this was Pompeii inspired, but I meant like in a different sense. Like there's an anime that came out recently called Dr. Stone that has something similar to that, where people get frozen.
I've seen plenty of memes about it.
Yeah, where people get frozen in stone, but this is like, I'm talking like smooth stone. Like there's no cracks, there's no flaws. Like if you were to open up the stone statues,
almost like they all turn into Greek statues.
Yeah, but like if you were to open up the statues somehow, there would be stone organs inside, like perfectly. And it's not even like people are frozen in like agony or passed out or anything like that. It's like just time stopped, everyone in that town got turned to stone, and then it just sat there. Like there's no dust, there's no nothing, that's just it. And like this story that would sprout from that, I was thinking like, ooh, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a stone axe and go on a murderous adventure against these skeletons. Oh, that's
I'm a huge fan of PM Seymour's Project Orc series.
Yeah.
Because obviously that's something he's still working on. But stories like that always pique my interest because it's it's sci-fi related, and it's also talking about human nature, which we're all human, mostly. We understand human nature mostly.
Mostly. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, I just find it fascinating because, like, comparing humans to orcs, because any extraterrestrial species would probably consider us barbarians. Like,
I love it.
because of all the crazy shit we do. Like, I love that idea. I love that concept.
Oh yeah, humans can live in most any environment. We have like 12 uninhabitable planets that you would love. Yeah, PM Seymour's a great guy.
You sent people to a place that is negative 50-something degrees, and when those people died, your solution was to send more people.
I mean, eventually we got there. Yeah, just dumb stuff like that. PM Seymour honestly is a guy that I could aspire to be, because he's a voice actor, he's funny, and he's down to earth. Even though he's a meme
he's very
lord.
chill, dude.
He's super realistic about stuff, and he always jokes about stuff too. Like, I'm not saying I'm gay. That guy's awesome, and I love him.
There's nothing wrong with being gay.
No, but
Unless
I'm
you're
saying
Christian.
I'm not. But hey, we're not getting into that.
Evil smirk.
You monster. For anyone listening, I'm Christian, so he can taunt me however he wants.
And I love to pick on him for it.
He can taunt me however he wants. I don't care. So this next one is next story idea. It's literally just like an anime. It's just Future Diary. Mirai Nikki, if you go Japanese, like the weeaboo you are, even though you're not. And it's just people who are linked to their phones. If the phone dies, then they die. But I think I meant it more in like a battery life sense. So like there are people who are like overly obsessive about having like solar chargers and things like that, and they like have to center their lives around it. And the protagonist is like down to earth, and he's like, yeah, if I die, I die. I don't care about living a life that's like struggling to survive. He's just like chill and runs into like 10 other people. And I'm not talking like everyone on Earth has it. It's just like a select few people have to deal with having, you know, their phones be their lifeline. Which kind of brings up some weird moral stuff with like technology nowadays. Like, oh my gosh, look at social media. That's a mess. I'm not a part of social media for a reason. It's just, there's nothing really beneficial about it from a person standpoint. From a business standpoint, yeah. But from a person standpoint, no.
Just the bonking emoji, just that's all I can think of. That noise.
Yep.
But yeah.
Let's see. I have this list goes on. We can be here for hours. My voice is starting to go, but
I
will keep going, bro. I've got like.
You can always let me read some. I mean, just like send me the sticky note.
But this is so much more fun. I could take a screenshot, but then I'd have to pause the recording, and that would take time. And yeah, I mean, I'm totally capable of doing that, but I'm lazy.
Yeah.
There's low production
for the
value.
win.
Yeah. Wait.
Wait, help us.
Wait a minute. That's illegal. Wait. I quoted it wrong. That stabbed me in the heart.
I mean, you usually do, so I'm used to it.
Yeah, but you get the gist of it.
Yep. You suck.
What is it? Ooh, this one was a fun one. This is kind of like playing off of Stranger Things. So it's a teen who can look into the future and know any answers. Thing is that the teen must experience whatever they see before they come back to the present. People can see the kid age, get hurt, and even die, and then come back to normal. What people see is sped up, though. So it's just like, I don't know, like, maybe like a Maze Runner type of situation, and they're like the clairvoyant, and someone's like,
I've never seen Maze Runner.
Well, neither have I, but it's just the idea of like a colony trapped in one place, and they're surrounded by deadly everything. The world's out to kill them, type of thing, you know?
Yeah,
and they're just barely surviving. And this person will like sit down, close their eyes, and then people will see their hair start to grow, their clothes start to get dirty, and like cuts and scratches and bruises will show up, and like maybe at some point the person will just up and die. And it's like, oh my god. Yeah. And then they'll just like quickly revert back to like normal. And the person will come back, you know, maybe slightly traumatized, but they have the answers.
And the people who are watching it might also be slightly.
Yeah. But it's like, ooh, that's
By the way,
interesting
random side note, Stranger Things, phenomenal show.
Oh, yeah.
Really. It's like, normally I'm always hesitant to hop on the mainstream stuff, and it took me a while to hop on Stranger Things, but I'm so glad I did, because goddamn is that a good show.
You're fire burning. Yeah, that was a
especially
good
season
show.
1. Season 1 is definitely my favorite because they nailed the like anxious atmosphere. It was great.
Dude, yeah, the horror in season 1.
The horror elements of it.
Okay.
So
I'm a pansy when it comes to horror. They did it really well.
I'm not even like, I love horror. It's just that I have an overactive imagination. So after like entertaining myself with horror, I will probably have difficulty sleeping because that's just how I am. Yeah. But like, it never really like bothers me, you know? Because I don't know. I just love a good horror story.
Yep. This next story idea is also playing off of Stranger Things. Oh god, I can't remember. There we go, Seth. It's a person who can face between our world and another, more demented world. And in the other world are monsters that intend to hurt and torture the person. When he is in our world, the monsters can't see him, and he can't see them. However, they can still interact through the world gap. So, kind of Stranger Things, where the other world is just a twisted version of ours.
Yeah.
But, like, I was thinking more like, I don't know, some tentacly type Sangheili Halo style monster that, like,
I
and
mean,
I'm talking like
you're
hordes
calling
of
elites
them.
monsters, which I'm not about.
If you were to see one right now, and you didn't know what Halo
I would
was,
hug it.
and you didn't know what Halo was, just saying.
Well, even if I didn't know what Halo was, I've seen Predator. They have similar mouths, so I would consider it badass.
Okay, that's fair. Anyways, what I was thinking about, they can interact, so that's the deviation from Stranger Things, so I'm not copywriting. It's,
Outright copyright.
yeah, but it's like they can bump into each other in the world. So say like he's walking through like an airport, like that would be a great target for monsters. Monsters always go where there's a lot of people, right? So imagine he bumps into nothing, and then said nothing,
and then just is immediately on guard.
Yeah, is immediately on guard and like has
no one
to,
around him can figure out why.
Yeah, they just like start thinking he's a deranged guy. They're like, dude, you okay, man? And then he's just like, the things, they're here!
Suddenly suffers a physical wound and everybody's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like a large gash appears in his arm. And also I've thought of a couple like sci-fi, like most of the stories by now are like, oh, superheroes and like stuff outside the realm of reality. The next one is kind of twisted but possible reality. And those are always the fun ones, is when you take something that could be physically possible, and it is an alternate universe where silicone has similar properties to carbon in that it can support life, but humanity doesn't know. Computers or robots begin to evolve at a rapid rate and become a threat to humanity. Like that's the robot takeover. Oh no, robots are taking over. But like, I'm talking,
which honestly I want to happen. Because robots would run things far more efficiently than we do, let's be honest.
To be fair, yeah.
Like, they're robots. They don't make all the same mistakes that we do.
Yeah, but they don't have ethics, which, you know, it has a place. But
what?
that one's interesting, because I was thinking, like, when you stimulate organic life with electricity at a certain amount, i.e. within a circuit board where it's regulated, certain current, certain amperature, voltage, etc., then it has a chance to grow faster. I have a bunch of rose bushes in my front yard, and one of them is sitting on top of a power cable to a lamp that sits in my front yard. And we think that power cable has a short in it, like somewhere is a split, because sometimes the lamp turns on, sometimes it doesn't. It's like a day-night sensor on it. But the rose bush that's sitting right next to that lamp and is on top of that power cord grows stupid tall, and like the other one is just kind of gangly, but that one is just, it goes nuts. So like, maybe the electricity in the soil or, you know, in the roots is stimulating growth. And my thought was, imagine if you did that, but on like a cellular level. If you were to constantly bombard like amoeba or something with electricity, what's not to say that it couldn't like adapt and start to become sentient or something like that? Because you know, electricity, circuit boards and computers and stuff are constantly being fed information, so it's not to say it couldn't become sentient. You know, there's a logic behind it.
Yeah.
Other story, like, I'm not
definitely
dissing,
a rabbit hole. But...
yeah. Other stories, like, I'm not dissing other stories, but other stories are just like, oh, there's a glitch in the programming, now it wants to kill humanity. But then I'm like, what if there's a science? Pardon the voice crack.
What if it's not an accident? What if it happens naturally?
Yeah. And pardon my voice crack. I've been speaking for a long time, so I'm losing my voice.
Yeah.
I'm not used to
Sure.
talking. Another one that was kind of interesting, like this is probably stringing off the whole adaptation slash evolution, whatever, mass mutation type of thing, is trees that are cut down found to have only one ring in them, and trees begin to grow in cities. It's a disaster that scientists struggle to explain. It's like a Mother Earth fights back type of story.
Mm.
Like, say, how do I explain this? So like it starts out in like a forest, right? And there's just suddenly seemingly more trees and it's more dense and there's like more trees than there should be. Like you've been in a forest. Trees are, decently evenly spaced. I'm
Yeah.
talking these are like packed shoulder to shoulder trees. Scientists are like, what the hell? So they start cutting them down and they find that there's only one ring in them, which indicates like it hasn't been alive for any more than a season.
Yeah.
So it's like these trees start
Oh wow,
growing
you just have a
rapidly.
massive staircase here.
Yeah, I'm strip mining.
Been away for a bit
Ish.
mining.
What level am I on? I'm nowhere near diamond level. I'm at level 39.
I got a little bit of gold by going into that cave somewhere over there.
Right?
Yeah.
But like, imagine
a little bit of coal, a
if
little bit of iron.
imagine if trees could grow to their full height and full size in like a weekend.
Oh,
Can you imagine how disastrous
Well, I mean-
that would be?
funnily enough, that would actually solve everything on the planet. Like that would solve deforestation because then
Mhm.
the lumber companies would have no reason to choose to replant pine trees instead of the trees that they cut down.
Yeah,
Because then it's like, pine trees grow quicker, but that doesn't matter anymore. Like, just do it right.
but like,
That's a
imagine
guess.
imagine though, well, lumber companies would have a massive problem because suddenly they're in high demand and then trees start sprouting in cities and society begins to collapse and it becomes this literal natural disaster that somehow is beneficial. Like, you would have a massive increase in oxygen, which has been scientifically proven to promote more growth in creatures, and creatures are stronger and bigger and all this. So the increase in trees would mean that there's an increase in apex predators that humanity would have to I guess compete with, but we would also have to worry about the fact that we wouldn't be able to build any lasting structures because, oh hey, trees.
Yeah. It's like, oh hey, here they are.
It's like the trees in Minecraft, just
It's like what Jeff Goldblum's character said in Jurassic Park. Life finds a way.
Jeff Goldblum.
Which I know that's a cheesy thing to quote because everyone quotes it, but it's true.
Well, here's another little one-off story that. So I love leaving a story on like a hanging note. It's a cruel thing to do, but it's fun. So imagine this. Have a guy telling stories of his adventures. He's an adventurer, like Indiana Jones or something. But have him die in one of them. And I'm not talking just like, did you die, Grandpa? And he just joking is like, yes, I died. I mean, like, he's dead.
Yeah, that's
Like, literally died. Like, there's an interesting story. It's like, wait, hold on. Hold on.
Hold up.
Also, I'm making this very large staircase because I mentioned dwarven, and I like dwarven structures.
I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh my jeez. You know what? You had a good idea. I'm gonna pause the recording real fast and shoot you some of these
Yeah, absolutely.
sticky notes.
So that you're not straining your voice all
And
day.
give me a hot sing, because I've been doing most of the talking. Participate.
I've kind of just been responding
Yeah.
vaguely.
Yeah.
I haven't been much of this.
So now that we're like, what, half an hour in or something? 40 minutes? 40 minutes in. Yeah.
Something like that.
Give me a hot
Don't know
second.
why. I don't know where or why.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Creepers explode. I have a whole bunch of these, so I should probably open them all. A whole bunch of year-old fruit snacks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just pour them out in front of my microphone, and
I don't have any snacks. I do have soda.
yeah. Chill and snack. That's a zombie. I should probably worry about that.
So I can get fat off of a carbonated beverage.
Alright. Let me...
Whilst also melting my teeth away with acid.
It's the best! Dude, I've had Monster for the past 3 days because I've been working the sound booth. And, like, we just have a mini fridge with a whole bunch of monsters in them. And I'll be honest, they've been growing on me, which is not good.
Yeah, not at all.
Why
My
won't you
brother has been
open?
drinking those, and I'm just like, why do you need Monster?
It's like,
You're
okay,
12
so here's
and
the thing.
psychotic.
So here's the thing, right? Sugar doesn't affect me, and caffeine doesn't, or caffeine puts me to sleep. So, like, it has a negative effect on me.
Right.
These, I was just like, I'm tired. Logically speaking, people drink energy drinks when tired, right? Yeah. So I just opened the fridge, grabbed one, and I, like, for the past 3 days, I've only had 3 in the last 3 days, like, once a day, but, like, I don't know why I'm drinking them. They don't do anything. They're just acid. They're just acid in a can, that's all they are. Oh, wonderful, crinkly, crinkly. Alright.
Yeah, that's relatable, because I'm the same way with soda, except I know why I drink them. It's because they taste good. Like, I have an orange vanilla Coke with me right now, and god damn is that good. Hey, Creeper.
I like anything with vanilla.
Wait,
Okay.
you say you do or you don't?
I love vanilla. Wow.
So you're a softcore guy.
Yep, I'm a softcore guy.
Sorry, I had to make the joke.
Yep. I'm a pleb like that. Okay. We back in it.
Oh god.
Alright, welcome back. While explosions are happening all around us, I have gone and gotten a bunch of year-old fruit snacks, don't ask where. And
I have an orange vanilla Coke.
And I've given Valk my sticky notes.
Yes. So,
I can save my voice.
yeah. Alright, so, I think my favorite one out of this list in front of me right now is a man who feels phantom pains that happen whenever another him dies in another universe. He will then dream vividly about his death that night. There's a lot of possibilities with that story idea.
Oh, yeah. So...
Like, from, spiritual stuff to... You could probably even find some way to turn that into a comedy. I'm sure there's some way to do that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like Princess Bride style.
Yeah.
That one actually came from... So, like, I'll be sitting at work, or I used to sit in school, and, like, I would just get these, like, random, like, sharp pains in, like, my arm.
Oh, I
or,
get
like...
those too.
Yeah, it's
Alright,
like...
that makes sense.
Yeah, and my brain was just, since I had an overactive imagination, it was like, yo, what if that's, like, someone from another universe, like, another AU of you taking, like, a mortal wound, like, it's like, why does my leg
Is
hurt?
it weird that I've had that exact same thought before?
Yeah, I just, like, you're just sitting there in class, like, algebra or whatever, and then your leg just, like, random spike, you're like, what the hell? And it's like, what if meanwhile in another universe you've been shot in the leg with an arrow and you're just like, ah, like on the battlefield? Like,
Because, yeah. And I would also say, like, that type of story idea could also work with, like, frequent pains. But that wouldn't be... I don't think that one would work with, like, a alternate universe type thing. I think that would work with, like, a past life type.
ooh,
'Cause
yeah, that's an idea.
I have frequent pains in my right shoulder, like, burning pains, and I don't really know why.
Yeah.
But yeah, it, like, a burning pain, so I've had the thought for, like, maybe I suffered a mortal wound in that area in the past life, and that's what killed me.
That's a lot of ways to die with
Random
your shoulder.
ideas like that would make for great stories.
Yeah, I know. It's like, if your imagination has somewhere to go, write it down. It could be something cool.
Could turn out very cool.
Yeah. Uh, let's see.
Or it could make
Another
you
one
sound
of
like
the.
a crazy person.
Well,
Which
I mean,
I frequently
yeah.
do.
Gotta love my torch placement. It is so consistent.
Yeah, definitely. Because I've been noticing that while I've been exploring this cave.
Mm-hmm. Um, so on the top of the list of the sticky notes I gave you was this one was just like an idea, like an image came to mind, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna write that down. And it was a girl with galaxies in them, and she can see.
Like in her eyes.
Yeah, yeah, in her eyes. A girl with galaxies in her eyes, and she can see things. I don't remember exactly what those things were. Maybe it was like different timelines or other worlds, other species. Like she could see anything in the universe. But I think it came from the idea of in Men in Black. I think it was like 1 or 2. There was a cat who had a collar of a universe in it. Like that was one of the things that the Men in Black had to retrieve. And it was just like the idea of having galaxies in your eyes was like a cool image to me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, that's pretty cool to have. So that's just, I guess that's why I wrote that one down.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Newton made
Once again, the example of, hey, that sounds cool. Let me put it down.
Yeah. I need a shovel.
There's another one in here. A man who only exists when his soulmate... Which, that's just trippy.
Yep.
Because I can definitely see the idea behind that. That's,
A man who only exists when his soulmate observes him. It's like, So I steal a lot of ideas. This one was from a anime titled Bunny Girl Senpai, or it was something like that. It was someone Kun does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai, or something like that. And in it, it's kind of like one of the problems that happens in it is a character starts being ignored. Like they were a pop star, right? So like everyone knew who they were. And would always stop them on the street and be like, "Oh, you're so and so." But like for some reason over time more and more people forgot her, and over time like she became completely invisible to almost everyone on Earth except for the main character, because that's how it works.
Yep.
And he met her in a library while she was wearing a bunny girl suit, which is like super out of the ordinary, because she was testing to see if she was actually fully invisible. And that's kind of like the premise of the show, is that like only, and in the show they end up dating each other, because that's just how that works. So it was like, what if
anime.
Yeah, what if, you know, the only person in the universe who could perceive you was the person you were destined to be with? And that kind of sparked the idea of, well, maybe he only exists when that person sees him. And it was like, that's an interesting concept. Maybe not a good story. I'm not a romance writer, but an interesting story nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see.
The idea of... I could definitely see like a spiritualistic undertone in that.
Yeah.
You know, because like a side arc of him trying to find himself, you know, why he exists in the way that he does.
Yeah, like heavy tones of depression or something like that.
Yeah. You know, just the things that we all go through.
Yeah.
AKA non-existent.
Just like the idea of sheer loneliness. Like you can be in a room full of people and still be lonely.
Yeah.
Now imagine if literally no one saw you. Like you could punch someone in the face and then be like, "Oh, I ran into a pole," and just keep walking.
Yeah. Real talk, I would love to have that as a super... because that's what I would consider it as. Because, I don't know, I seem to find comfort in being alone. Because, like,
Yeah.
for most people, feeling lonely all the time is a problem. But it's at the point where I don't really feel lonely anymore. I kind of, you know, I enjoy peace and quiet, you know?
Yeah.
And like that would just be amazing to me, just to be able to like, because I've frequently joked about being invisible in crowds, but I wish I could actually be invisible in crowds. Like that would
Mm-hmm.
be amazing.
That would, because I'm an introvert. I love being
Oh
alone.
yeah, same.
So being able to just like have no one notice me would be the ultimate pleasure for me. I wouldn't do anything with it. I would just sit back and like I'd be the guy who sits in a train station and just watches, people go about their business without anyone
Yeah.
bothering me, without having any worry of like social interactions, and just chilling. Like that sounds.
I would love to
Oh.
mess with people that deserve it if I had that kind of power. Like, you know, you're sitting in an airport, you're waiting for your flight, and there's always that one little kid that's crying. And if I was invisible, I could just walk up to that kid and just like put a hand over their mouth, and just shut them up. No one would know I was there. People would be like, "Huh, your baby is suddenly quiet, and it looks like it's panicking for its life. That's probably normal." Like that would be amazing. Or like, if that one douchebag who cut someone off in line, I can just flick him really hard in the back of the ear. They're just like, what the fuck? Like, that would be amazing.
It's like
Social justice warrior without the warrior, you know?
social justice ninja.
My God.
There's
that
the
would
name
be
of the story. There you go.
incredible. Social justice ninja, hell yeah.
Boom.
That would be amazing.
Oh.
Like, oh man. Dude, imagine if you could use that power while so like somebody just sees you drive by and they see a car. Which nowadays may not be something, but like 10 years ago, people would be like, what the fuck?
They're like, why is that car driving on its own? What is this world?
Is it Knight Rider? What's going on?
Oh my gosh, that would be glorious.
That would be glorious.
I think the idea of this story, though, is that anything that the guy kind of interacts with, no one tends to notice. It's not that he's invisible, it's just that he's unnoticeable.
Yeah. Blends in very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Just like that crowd mechanic in Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, you can just kind of hide away in the crowd and no one will really know what happened.
Yeah.
The next story idea I had written down was an army that can perfectly predict every movement of an enemy and perfectly counter them via simulations, via practice and simulations. And
As in they've had tons and tons of training.
No, I think this is. I wrote this down as like the next level up because like the U.S. military is pretty well organized. Every movement that someone does is they're trained to be able to know how to move in every situation. Well, not every, but in most situations, right?
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, it's pretty hard to predict everything. Any D&D DM would know that.
Yeah,
So,
but I think this is like kind of like almost a time travel mechanic where the simulation is able to play out exactly what would happen, like where every single bullet would go, what every single person would think on the enemy side, and like this small troop or this army is able to know every single one of that, so they could literally just go into the battlefield and backflip into combat and charge and dodge every single bullet and just strike fear into the enemy. That would be awesome. It's like
that would be amazing, and also terrifying.
Yeah, it's like a task runs. Do you know what task runs are in video games?
What are?
TAS, TAS. It's a tool,
No, I don't know.
It's a tool-assisted speed run, and it basically means that like someone goes in with a certain program, and they figure out exactly how a game operates, and then they can make every single move in that game perfectly, down to like the millisecond.
Oh yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So imagine that, but with an army, so that they could do everything they wanted to. And then, with a normal task run, you have to show off at some point. Maybe, oh yeah, look at this guy, you can do a backflip. Or if there's like an auto scroller in a level, they'll make it so that the auto scroller is interesting. They're not just like sitting there
Yeah.
making every perfect move, you know, they're making it fun to watch. So something
Yeah.
like that, but with military. I think that would be fun for like a story.
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, and that one could be written from any angle. It's like you could write that from an enemy's perspective, or you could write that from a soldier who's, you know, partaking in the perfect military, like a new recruit or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
That would be amazing. Yeah. So that's a good one. I really also like the a kid who is neutrally buoyant, where their clothes and stuff hold them down to earth. And I feel like you got that from what's the name of that movie? It's like Miss Peregrine's Home for Special Children or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that, where it was about all the kids with like cool powers and stuff, and then there was that one girl that could just float. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's what you got this from, or at least the idea of it.
I
But yeah,
think
that's a really cool concept.
I think it was more of the idea of just like someone who isn't affected by gravity. Like everything else is affected by gravity. So if they have like rocks in their pocket, that's holding them down to earth. But but like they themselves aren't affected by gravity. So if they're not careful with like taking a shower or something, they'll just start to kind of levitate away. You know, just start floating upwards.
Permanent 0 G.
Yeah. So like if someone's like, "Quick, we need to get up to the top of that building." They just like
Yeah.
they
Don't
wear
worry,
like really
I got it. Jumps.
Yeah. They just wear like really light clothes and they're just like and just like fly upwards and people are like, "Oh my gosh."
Like, not even that they're just not affected by gravity. Like their body has no mass.
Or their body
Like-
does have mass, but it's the same mass as the air around it, so it's like the same density as
Wait.
air, and they're neutrally
What if
buoyant.
it was just a person made of antimatter,
Okay,
but
now-
like in a way that it wouldn't but for some reason it doesn't react when it touches matter, because
Yeah.
you know when antimatter and matter touch, they fucking explode. But like,
see,
what
now-
if it was just a person made of like antimatter? Because antimatter behaves negatively to force.
well, no, negative matter
Oh
replies.
right,
Yeah,
negative matter.
negative.
I
Matter.
always get the two mixed up.
Yeah, they're very similar. Antimatter is the opposite of matter.
I think it's also called exotic matter.
Yeah. The antimatter is like I can't remember how to explain it, but I know negative matter is the opposite of matter. It's a type of matter,
Yeah.
but it does everything that normal matter shouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
But yeah,
I mean,
that would be really interesting, because I remember the Kurzgesagt video about like wormholes and the fact that exotic matter might be the key to
oh, yeah, that okay. Exotic matter, that's something else. That's a whole.
Well, no, because the way they described it is there's matter, there's antimatter. Both of those behave positively to force.
Yeah.
And then there's exotic matter, which behaves negatively to force, which is the same thing as negative matter, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that, though, because I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, neither am I. Quantum physicist, I ain't. Ooh. Alright. This next one's a bit weird, but I remember writing it down. I think it was a kind of like a spigot off of the Lantern series that I came up with. And it's a man who's immortal, but he has to steal a true lover's soul to revive when dying. This is done via kiss. That was like, the idea is, so a guy who like throughout time has learned how to seduce women or men, you know, I'm not discriminating here. And like in his dying moments, you know, on his deathbed or whatever, their lover comes and is like, "No, I don't want to see you go." And he's just like, "I'm sorry, darling," and like real dramatic thing. And it's like the one last goodbye sign of affection.
One last time.
Yeah. And last sign
For
of
context,
affection.
viewers, we're huge fans of Hamilton.
Hell yeah. It's like that
Hate
last sign of affection, and he just steals her soul, and that like becomes part of his life essence, and he like revives himself with that, and he
Yeah.
kind of like a vampire type of thing, but differently.
Except not evil. Or
Maybe,
just not, you know,
maybe.
vampiric. But yeah, I could definitely see a story out of that. I feel like that one would definitely be a bit harder to write,
Yeah,
because again, you have like flares of romance, but also you could definitely put like a mystery.
yeah, you could.
That would be relatively easy to do, like to set up, but probably a little bit harder to execute.
Yeah, that one. That one could go through a whole bunch of different waves, but that one would turn out to be like a really long series, and I'm not into writing really long stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we're too lazy for that.
This is fair.
Man. This idea I really like. A guy who's a reality genetic robot but doesn't know it till later in his life.
A reality bending genetic robot doesn't know it. That
Yeah.
one,
He just has no idea.
yeah. That one I had to
That's-
put in genetic robot. So like, imagine Menu-sama. For those of you who don't know,
Right.
Menu-sama is one of my D&D characters. Is a robot, total douche.
Yeah. Just like the player.
But imagine like he's able to like create and warp and manipulate whatever he wants with his mind, but he doesn't know it. And the reason he can do it is because he's like this alien robot that's genetic, so he does age. He has blood. But he never really puts two and two together that he isn't human until like his mid 30s or something, when he's like, man, I really wish I had a Bentley or something, and it just shows up in his front yard or something like that.
That
You know?
would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's like he wishes for something and then it just happens, and he's like, oh well, must have been just, you know, random whatever have you BS. But like at some point,
And then he does it again and he's like, wait.
yeah, it's that moment of realization of like, wait, hold on, something ain't right about this.
And then ooh, what if he ends up with some kind of like god complex where he thinks he's the creator of the
Ooh,
universe?
yeah, there you go, like some Haruhi Suzumiya type of thing. That would be kind of fun. You don't know what I just said, but it's still fun.
Yep, I have no idea, but you know what, we're going with.
Haruhi Suzumiya is a character, anime character. I make so many anime references. I'm a nerd. I'm a weeb. Deal with it.
Yeah, it's all
But-
good.
Haruhi Suzumiya is or it's actually the show is called The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and it follows this one girl who is God, but she doesn't know it, and she's not allowed to know it because if she figures it out, the whole universe implodes.
Oh,
So she's like, I want to start a club with like ghosts and ghouls and robots and psychics. And so she starts a club to look for them, and up shows up ghosts and ghouls and robots and psychics, but they're all human, like human looking, and they all know it because they came into existence when she willed for that to happen. But like they're not allowed to say to her that they're ghosts and ghouls and robots and psychics.
yeah.
It's cool stuff like that. Even though that show wasn't exactly scripted well, they had an entire season that was a time loop of the same day.
Oh,
Each episode was like one loop, and they had like 13 episodes that was just like the same like summer
see, that's
break.
a cool idea to play around with.
Yeah, it was like the
honestly.
same summer break, but it was repetitive with like minor iterations between episodes, and it was like, just jump to episode 15 to see them get out of the time loop. That's it. Gotta unlock my phone again because we've been recording for over an hour. Hey,
Yeah,
yeah, my voice is gone. Whoa.
don't worry about it.
All right. Alright, that one's just a bit weird, but you know what? Screw it. This was a story that I meant to add into the Lantern universe. So, like, in the story of the Lantern, there's, like, two factions. There's the Lantern Givers, and then there's the Soul Takers. And there's, like, they're, like, warring in another dimension and using humans as their weapons. Spoilers. I think. And this one is a boy gets kidnapped by an emotionless mad scientist who killed the boy's parents, Batman style. Boy gets locked in VR chat. Yep. His body is realistic and can take damage, but not get infected. So, like, if he's messing around in VR chat, people are like, dude, that's, like, a really realistic avatar, and, like, that looks really cool. How'd you make that? And it's like, oh, the tracking's perfect. And, like, some guy just, like...
And he's trying to explain to them, hey, I'm stuck in here.
Yeah, and they're just like, dude, that's some great acting. And, like, no one believes him.
Yeah.
And, then...
It's like SAO, except it's only one person instead of every player.
Yeah. And then, later on, maybe the guy meets a girl and ends up... who's, you know, also been trapped in VR chat. And, you know, maybe they live out their lives, you know, happy in VR chat. I don't know. But, like, the overtone of the story is that the guy's body is stolen and used for war, and his mind is trapped in a video game. And he can, like, if people have, like, prop swords in VR chat, because some people have weapons on their character models, they're like, look, check this out, I'm gonna swing this at you. And they do it, and, like, his arm falls off. And it's, like, an actual flesh wound. And he has to go get a robotic arm.
It's but a flesh wound.
Yeah. Some, like, crazy stuff like that, but I don't know. Because then that would imply...
that's certainly an interesting one.
That would imply some other things about the lore of the Lantern and stuff like that. You know, I'd have to think through writing that one, but it's an interesting idea. It's
it's definitely a complicated one, but it's not impossible.
It's not a set idea for the story or the lore of the Lantern, but, like, it could work. It could do.
It could do the do. Yeah. Possible. I don't know if I would cross it with the Lantern, though, because...
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the Lantern story just is good alone.
Yeah. This one I was thinking like a spin-off from another point of view. It's not a lantern holder. It's from the other side that's against the lantern holders, the people there. Because, like,
interesting.
This is like the sinister side, where they take people and they turn them into husks to make, like, this emotionless orc army. And the other side has people willingly join and are, like, super soldiers, but they're few and far between, you know?
Yeah. Kind of like the Spartans in Halo.
Yeah, something to that effect.
Yeah.
We got one last.
I think we've covered the whole list.
No, there's one last. That one at the very bottom.
Oh, right, yeah. The time traveler who can summon weapons by naming them. I almost didn't notice this one. Wow. He can then de-summon any weapon to hide the evidence. I like how you phrased that.
Well, I was thinking something along the lines
Definitely
of, like...
implies some character traits there.
or some situations. This one was like, I was sitting at work and I was really bored, and I just did that whole, like, shoot me now type of, like, finger to the head to one of my coworkers, and he just kind of laughed it off and you're like, yeah. And then my brain was like, hey. And it's like,
it's that voice in the back of your mind like, you can make a religion out of this.
Wait, no.
Bill words. Yeah, no, don't.
But it was like, imagine a guy going back into, like, the time of, like, knights and, you know, kings and queens and stuff, and him just going out onto the battlefield, and they're like, sir, your sword. And he goes, I need no sword. And he just shouts P90. And everyone's like, what is that? And he just, like, slaughters the entire enemy army, and just then, like, de-summons it so historians never know what happened.
Yeah, just like, sir, You have no sort of weapon. Oh, just wait for it. M249.
Yep. Just opens fire.
It's like
Like,
everybody's around him on horses. So, where's your steed? I don't. A10 Warthog.
you need a runway for that. But
That's also like the idea I've had in the past of like, what if you were like the idea of like a military personnel, you know, like an A10 pilot who suddenly gets sent back in time with his aircraft. Like that would be interesting.
yeah.
Kind of like the plot of Steins Gate, except they don't just curb stomp. Well, no, he would curb stomp the enemy with an A10. Let's be honest.
uh, I was thinking about adding the nuance of he can only add weapons from like his age and back. So like say the modern age, he can't look into the future and be like, I'm gonna go with a laser gun. Like there's none of that because we don't know what the weapon of or the future of weapons is gonna be. So like he can only use weapons that are from our current present to back.
Yeah.
But imagine him going out into like Iran with like a claymore.
A Claymore Roomba, no less.
I was talking the sword, but hey, claymore.
Oh, I
Roomba,
know, but I just
boy.
wanted to make the Claymore Roomba joke.
Can you imagine a claymore Roomba? It's like, what is this? Ah, it is my pet, but don't touch it.
Don't get in front of it either. You see those lasers? Don't get in the way of them.
So what is a laser? Oh, that would be great.
That would be. Oh, and then he gets like captured by someone who wants to know his secrets.
And he's just like, I don't know, flamethrower.
Flammenwerfer. He suddenly goes.
Panzerkampfwagen von Austung 2. And they're like, what is that? Suddenly tank.
Hands 4 just squashes the guy.
That'd be great. You're now AFK. Oh, hey, diamonds right around the corner from where I was mining. And the perfect time, too, because we're ending the episode here. So I'm going to grab these diamonds.
That has been the full list of random story ideas from Bark, because we're both crazy people.
Yep. So. And I had a thought in between recordings, and I was like, this is the Midnight Podcast. I feel like, since I'm not really podcasting it at midnight anymore, I should at least theme it towards, you know, like midnight stuff. So instead of saying, we'll see you in the next video, I think I'm going to leave my outro as, I hope you all enjoyed, and have a good night.